They all sat in their chairs like it was a normal day. The air was calm inside the classroom of the Orbital Military Academy. The students were dressed in their training uniforms. Some whispered jokes. Others stared at their screens. No one expected the day to turn into a nightmare. Luke Carter sat near the back, quiet as always. His eyes scanned the room. He had been trained to notice small things, and today, something felt wrong. The teacher was late. That never happened. In this academy, time was followed like a law. Then the door opened. A man stepped inside, wearing the uniform of an instructor. Duh. But Luke saw it. His boots were too heavy, his face too stiff. When the man moved to the front, 5 more followed him. They didn't look like students. They didn't belong. Luke stood up. "Everyone get down," he shouted. But it was too late. Gunfire tore through the room. Desks shattered. Glass exploded. Screams filled the air. Students dropped left and right. Blood spread across the floor. Some tried to run. Some froze in shock. Luke moved fast. He flipped a metal table on its side and ducked behind it. One of the soldiers stepped forward, pointing his rifle. Luke grabbed a broken chair leg from the ground and threw it. The piece hit the soldier's helmet. The shot went wide. Another student, Maria Lane, crawled beside Luke, her eyes wide, her hands shaking. "They're not here to arrest us," she said. "They're here to kill," Luke answered. From behind the flip table, he grabbed the training staff that always stood near the wall. It wasn't sharp, but it was strong. He waited for the right second, then jumped out. Swung the staff and smashed it into a soldier's leg. The man fell with a grunt. Luke hit him again, in the head this time. Maria followed, kicking another soldier in the side. A small group of students saw this and rushed to help. A girl named Erin Brooks grabbed a fire extinguisher and hit a soldier from behind. Another student tackled one of them to the floor. "We fight now," Luke shouted. "This is no class. This is war." The soldier raised his gun. Luke spun and struck him in the arm. The weapon fell. Luke stepped in, grabbed the man's vest, and threw him into a table. His body slammed hard and he didn't get up. Gunfire still echoed in the hallway. Screams from other rooms filled the air. "They've taken the whole academy," Maria said, ducking behind a chair. "Then we take it back," Luke answered. Erin pulled out a short blade she kept in her boot. She nodded at Luke. "I'm with you," she said. 3 more students joined them. Kyle Adams, the quiet tech genius, held a stun baton. 2 others carried training spears. They weren't soldiers, not yet, but now they had no choice. Luke led them to the hallway. Smoke filled the air. Sparks fell from broken lights. The sound of boots marching echoed from deeper inside. "We go quiet," Luke said. "We stay sharp. We strike fast." They moved through the corridor, stepping over broken glass and fallen bodies. The academy was a war zone now. No teachers, no safety, only survival. As they turned the corner, they saw another squad of soldiers moving toward them. Luke gave the signal. They attacked. Quiet was no longer needed. Luke slammed his staff into the first soldier's chest. Aaron stabbed the second in the side. Aaron shocked the third with his baton. Maria screamed as she tackled one, slamming his head into the wall. They fought with fear in their hearts, but fire in their eyes. And when the last soldier dropped, they stood over the bodies, blood on their hands, pain in their bones. Luke looked at them. "We're not students anymore," he said. "We're warriors now." The others nodded. They had no choice. They had just survived the first strike. But this battle was far from over. Luke led the group through the broken hallway. Smoke burned their eyes. The lights above blinked. Sparks dropped from the ceiling. The academy, once clean and bright, was now a place of fire and death. They stepped over bodies of friends and classmates. The silence between gunshots was heavy. Kyle walked beside Luke, holding his stun baton tight. "They used the academy as a trap," he said. "They wanted us here. They waited." Maria wiped blood from her cheek. "They didn't come to scare us. They came to wipe us out." "They failed," Luke said. They reached a locked door. Behind it was the old maintenance tunnel. No one used it anymore. Luke had been down there once before, back when he snuck around during drills. He pulled the cover open and climbed inside. The others followed. Inside, it was cold and dark. The tunnel was narrow. They moved one by one. The metal walls echoed with every step. Rats scattered ahead of them. The tunnel led under the academy and came out near the weapons storage. Luke stopped. He turned to them. We need weapons, real ones. If we stay with training tools, we won't last long. What if the weapons room is guarded? Aaron asked. Then we fight, Luke said. They reached the end of the tunnel and climbed out. The door above opened into a storage room. Dust covered everything. But there were old rifles, armor pieces, smoke grenades, and combat knives. Kyle moved fast, checking the systems. I can get the locks open, he said. His fingers flew across the screen. After a few tries, the metal cases clicked open. Luke grabbed a rifle. It felt heavy and cold. He strapped on body armor and handed weapons to the others. Maria tied her hair back and slid a knife into her boot. I want payback, she said. You'll get it, Luke answered. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the hallway. The metal door burst open. Then, 3 enemy soldiers stormed in. They were tall, fast, and fully armed. Luke didn't wait. He fired the rifle. The first soldier dropped. Yaron aimed and shot the second one in the chest. The third one dove to the side and fired back. Bullets hit the wall. Kyle ducked and threw a smoke grenade. The room filled with thick smoke. Luke moved through it fast. He tackled the last soldier to the ground. They struggled, but Luke grabbed his knife and drove it into the man's side. When the smoke cleared, the room was silent again. 3 enemy bodies lay on the ground. Erin coughed and pulled her jacket over her mouth. They'll know we're alive now. They'll already know, Luke said. Kyle checked the enemy gear. These weren't rookies, these were trained killers. Luke nodded. They're trying to finish the job, but we're not done yet. They left the storage room and made their way through the East Hall. They found more students. Some were hiding, some were injured. Luke told them to follow. He had become their leader without asking for it, but they trusted him. They built a plan. Kyle would reach the control room and break into the academy's defense systems. Aaron and Maria would cover him. Luke would lead the rest to rescue any other survivors. As they moved forward, another squad of enemies blocked their way. This time, they had heavy guns. Luke dropped low and rolled behind cover. Aaron right side. Maria with me. Bullets flew. The walls cracked. Luke ran forward, shot 2 soldiers, then slid across the floor to get behind another one. He grabbed the man's rifle and used it to take down 2 more enemies. Maria jumped over a railing and kicked a soldier in the chest. Aaron fired clean shots, one after another. Kyle threw a shock charge that stunned the last man. The squad was down. Luke stood over them, breathing hard. This is just the start, he said. They knew more would come. But now they had weapons, a plan, and a reason to fight. The hallway shook as the sound of boots marched above them. The lights flickered again. Luke held his rifle tight, eyes focused ahead. He moved like a soldier now. Behind him, Maria and Aaron stayed close. Kyle followed with a small device in his hand, guiding them toward the control room. They reached the west corridor. As part of the academy was damaged. One wall had collapsed from an explosion. Smoke rose from the floor. Fire spread along the ceiling. The air was thick and hot. Luke raised his hand. They stopped. From behind the smoke, they saw shapes moving. 6 enemy soldiers, all dressed in black armor, walked in a line. Their weapons were large and new. They were not like the last group. These ones moved with skill, were faster, smarter, and more dangerous. Kyle whispered, "These are elites." Luke nodded, "Then we hit them harder," pointed to a broken vent above. "Aaron, take that spot. You'll get the high ground." "Maria, flank left with me." "Kyle, wait for my signal." Aaron climbed into the vent and crawled up. She aimed her rifle and waited. Luke and Maria moved quietly along the left side. Their boots crushed broken glass, but the noise was low. Then one of the enemies stopped. He turned his head. He saw Maria. He raised his rifle. Before he could shoot, Aaron fired. The bullet hit his helmet. He dropped. The other 5 turned and opened fire. Luke rolled behind a large metal pipe and returned fire. Maria ducked behind a wall and fired 3 shots. One of them hit a soldier in the leg. He fell, screaming. Kyle saw the chance, ran forward and threw a flash charge. Light filled the room. The enemy shouted in pain, blind for a moment. Luke jumped out and charged one of them, slammed into him, knocked the gun from his hand, and drove his elbow into the man's face. Maria took down another with a clean shot to the chest. Aaron hit the last two with quick, sharp bullets. One tried to run, but Kyle grabbed a pipe from the floor and hit him hard across the back. Silence returned. Their team stood above the fallen elite squad. Luke breathed hard but stayed calm. He knew more were coming. Kyle stepped over a body and reached the control room door. He connected his device to the lock and started working. "This system is old," he said, "but I can break it." "Hurry," Luke said. Aaron moved to the hallway and watched for more enemies. Maria checked the fallen soldiers for supplies. She took ammo and small explosives. Kyle finally unlocked the door. It slid open. The control room was dark and full of broken screens, but one screen still worked. Luke entered first, rifle raised. Now, no one was inside. Kyle rushed to the main terminal and plugged in his device. "I can shut down their comms," he said. "We can also wake up the defense mechs." "Do it," Luke said. Kyle typed fast. Lights on the screen flashed. A loud sound came from deep in the academy. The old defense mechs, once thought useless, came to life. "They'll attack anything not on our side," Kyle said. Suddenly a new sound echoed. A deep voice came through the broken speakers. It was cold and strong. "You are all marked. You are no longer students. You are enemies. You will be erased." Luke stared at the speaker. "She's here," he said. Maria stepped beside him. "The Queen." "Yes," Luke said. "She came to finish it herself." Aaron looked down the hall. More enemy signals were coming. Luke checked his weapon. "Then we make her regret that." They knew this fight was only going to get harder, but they were ready. They were no longer kids. They were warriors now, and they would not fall without a fight. The sky outside the academy turned red as the Sovereign's flagship broke through the clouds. The ship was massive, dark, and full of fire. It hovered above the building like a giant beast. Inside the academy, alarms screamed. The walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The final wave had come. Luke stood in the main hall, watching the entrance. His team stood with him. Maria checked her rifle. Aaron loaded her last bullets. Kyle carried a control tablet linked to the defense mechs. "They are landing on the east platform," Kyle said. "She's here, and she brought her guard." "Good," Luke said. "We end it now." They moved through the hallways, placing traps along the way. Small bombs, tripwires, and smoke charges. The mechs rolled into position, their heavy metal bodies ready for battle. Some students who had survived joined them. Most were hurt. All were angry. Luke stood at the front. "We hold this ground. No one runs. No one breaks. If they want to take us, they'll have to bleed for every step." The door burst open. A wave of soldiers rushed in. They wore black armor, stronger than the others. Their eyes were cold. They fired without warning. Luke dove behind a shield wall. Bullets slammed into metal. Maria jumped out and fired. Her shots were sharp and fast. 2 enemies dropped. Aaron stayed high in a sniper nest she had built. She picked her targets with care. Every shot was a kill. Kyle used his tablet to guide the mechs. The machines rolled forward, guns blazing. One mech caught fire, but kept moving, crushing an enemy under its foot. Smoke filled the air. The room turned into chaos. Screams and gunshots mixed with the sound of fire and steel. Luke fought like a storm. He moved fast, firing from behind cover, then rushing forward to strike with a knife. One enemy tried to grab him, but Luke slammed him into a wall and shot him in the chest. Maria was hurt. A bullet had grazed her arm, but she kept fighting. She kicked one soldier down the stairs and stabbed another with her broken blade. Aaron's rifle clicked. She was out of bullets. She drew a sidearm and climbed down to join the others. Kyle shouted, "They're breaking the sidewall. More are coming." Luke looked around. The academy was falling apart, but they still stood. He had one chance left. Looked at Kyle. "You still have the core charge?" Kyle nodded. "It's unstable. If we set it off, it could wipe the whole east wing." "Do it," Luke said. "But wait for my signal." Then came silence. The enemy pulled back, and she walked in. The Sovereign stepped through the smoke. She wore no helmet. Her face was calm. Her eyes were sharp and cruel. Behind her came 4 guards, tall and fast. They moved like hunters. Luke stepped forward. "So," she said, "you survived. My finest mistake." "You made me strong," Luke said. "I made you loyal," she said. "You turned against your own. I'll die with the rest." She pointed. Her guards charged. Luke met them head on. The fight was brutal. One guard slammed into him, knocking him down. Luke rolled and fired upward. The guard fell. Maria took down another with a wild shot. Aaron and Kyle fought off the third. The 4th guard grabbed Luke by the neck. He lifted him up. Luke dropped his gun, pulled a knife, and drove it into the guard's throat. All 4 guards were down. The Sovereign walked forward. "You think this changes anything?" she said. Luke raised his hand. "Kyle? Now." Kyle pressed the trigger. The East Wing exploded. Fire roared. The ground shook. Luke and his team ran as the blast ripped through the wall. Dust and flames swallowed everything. They didn't look back. They had made their stand. The Sovereign was caught in the fire, but Luke knew it was not over yet. The smoke cleared slowly. The East Wing was gone. Fire burned along the broken walls. Stone and steel lay in pieces. Wind rushed through the gaps in the Academy's shattered frame. The Sovereign's guards were dead. Her ship was silent in the sky. But Luke knew she was still alive. He stood up from behind a broken pillar. His body ached. His armor was cracked. Blood ran down his arm, but he stayed on his feet. Maria coughed beside him, holding her side. Erin limped forward, her eyes sharp and her gun ready. Kyle was on one knee, fixing wires on his control tablet. "Did it work?" Maria asked. Kyle looked up. It hit hard, but not enough. "Her ship is still holding position. She's alive." Luke looked ahead. Through the fire and smoke, he saw her. The Sovereign stepped through the ruined hall, walking over steel and ash. Her long coat moved in the wind. Dust covered her, but she did not slow. Her face had small cuts, but her eyes burned with rage. "You should have stayed in chains," she said. Luke walked toward her. "I broke my chains the day I saw the truth," he said. "You were made to lead my armies," she said. "We're the best. And you turned into this." "I turned into a fighter," Luke said. "One who chooses his own path." She pulled a blade from her belt. It was sharp, dark, and deadly. Luke dropped his rifle and pulled his knife. He looked at his friends. "Stay back," he said. Maria tried to stop him, but he shook his head. "She's mine." They circled each other in the ruins. The flames lit their faces. Then she struck. She moved fast, her blade cutting through the air. Luke dodged and blocked. Their knives clashed. Sparks flew. She kicked him in the chest. He fell, but rolled away and got back up. Came again. This time, she cut across his arm. He gritted his teeth and slashed back, cutting her leg. They fought hard. Every strike was quick. Every move was sharp. They were both trained. They both knew pain. They both refused to fall. She knocked the knife from his hand and grabbed his neck. "You will kneel," she said. He grabbed her wrist and pushed back with all his strength. "Never," he said. He slammed his head into hers. She stumbled. He picked up her fallen blade and drove it into her side. She gasped. Her knees hit the ground. Luke stood over her. Her eyes were still full of fire, but her strength was gone. "It ends now," he said. Turned the blade and ended her rule with one final strike. Silence filled the hall. The wind blew through the Academy. The fire began to fade. The Sovereign's ship above slowly turned and pulled back. Without her command, the rest would not fight. Maria, Aaron, and Kyle joined Luke. Their faces were tired, but their eyes were steady. "It's over," Aaron said. Luke looked around at the broken Academy. "We lost many, but we're still standing," Kyle said. "The signal is open. We can call for help. The rest of the colonies will hear what happened here." Maria nodded, "And they'll know we fought back." "Oh, we didn't kneel." Luke walked into the same classroom where it all began. The floor was covered in ash and blood. A burned desk lay on its side. He picked it up and set it straight. He looked at the others. "No one else writes our story," he said. "Not kings. Not queens. Only us." And for the first time, the Academy was quiet. But it was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of a battle won.